Yeah, so I think this is fine now. I think, hello? Yeah, so thank you. I think I'm okay now. A bit of a challenge, as I said, I have to kind of do all these at once. But I think, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Trust you can all hear me. Maybe just type in yes or yeah, if you can hear me. So I think we should be okay now. If I'm not wrong, should be okay. A bit of a challenge, as I say. We should be okay now. Actually, we are. So let me go right and share my screen. I think I did a mistake to log in twice via my device. So yes, so let me get right ahead and share my screen so we can get going. We're already 15 minutes in. So let me share my screen right now. Where is it? It's here. Okay, so I'm going to share the page, the topic I'm going to share today. So about is crypto regulations good or bad? So view full screen mode. Okay. Yeah, so in a minute, you should be seeing my screen. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. So I think you can now see my screen. You can now see my screen. Maybe type in yes or no if you're able to hear me and see me. I think we're now good to go. So the topic of today actually was is governments and Bitcoin. Is regulation good or bad? So going right into it because we are actually behind time because I have to do the part of the topic and the news. So I'll run through what I'd prepared. So history of disruptive technologies and governments regulations. We'll be looking back to how past regimes have carried out new technologies. So we're going to see whether history will actually, if you read over there, uh, will history signal how agencies decide to regulate cryptocurrencies? So since the start of 2018, increased speculation surrounding how agencies will classify and regulate cryptocurrencies has sprung up more than ever. This is from China to US, South Africa, Kenya, Australia. So all governments all across the world are trying to find footing. So to give us a summary or a brief, the most observable fear of speculators or pro crypto industry is that regulating bodies may often permit different aspects of cryptocurrency space to operate at all. So let's look at a world view of how regulations all across the world has fared out. So if you look at, let's say, Kenya, Kenya is on a gray, meaning they are not against or for. This chart actually is available from going from a site called Visual Capitalist. They actually do a bit of like they do analysis on how government and basically countries all across the world look at Bitcoin. So from Russia to China to Japan, South Korea, Australia, Zimbabwe, Switzerland. So it's a whole comprehensive list. Let me just share it on the chart. Maybe at your own time you can have a look at it and also try to see whether you can. Let me just share it on the chart. So at your own time, you can go through you can go through it just to see how in detail, because I don't want to get into that right now. But I hope you are able to hear and see me as well, so that I don't talk to myself. So moving forward, just at your own time, try and look at that particular uh, visual I've shared on the chart. It will give you a summary of how governments all across the world are are looking about cryptocurrencies. So a lot of holders are concerned about regulations, possibly suppressing or even permanently crashing the growth of this booming space. So the biggest issue with disruptive technologies or innovations throughout history is that changes always happen faster than governments. Let me take that again. Changes always happen faster than governments, and regulations can only keep up with them. So every time there has been a genuinely disruptive technology introduced into an established marketplace, the regulating authorities more often than not interfere to stop the technology from growing any further. In most, always, it's almost always in vain. It's a main attempt to stop it, but usually it doesn't really go up because most people want to maintain the status quo that is within the marketplace a little bit longer. So for us to understand it, let's look at how history has fared. So it is very essential to study and elevate because things tend to not really repeat. Mostly, it tends to rhyme. That is what I think that is the word. History tends to rhyme. So let's look at the three times we've had disruptive things happening that and how then governments looked at it. So one of the more shocking and triumphant stories of government interference with innovation dates all the way back to the Roman Empire under the Emperor Augustus. There was an inventor who created it's called Vitrium flexile, which was a type of glass that wouldn't break. So imagine a glass that never breaks. So the inventor did, of course, out of him innovating, did a demonstration in front of the emperor. And sure enough, it did not break. So this demonstration scared the emperor Augustus that this new type of glass would devalue gold and silver. So he had the inventor promptly executed and the glass destroyed. As a result of these actions, civilization didn't have access to this glass until that is 2,000 years later. This occurrence is one of the most successful government interference with suppressing innovation. So that is way back ages ago. So I'm just trying to go through these three happenings or three scenarios that happened in the past to compare now what we are handling. The second one, I hope you're able to see my screen. Just confirm to me if you're able to also to hear me. That is now the most. Actually, it was more of an attempt by. It was actually a fail by government to attempt regulation. So. And I think I'll read it so that I think I'll flow it. It flows properly. A more recent failed attempt at government regulations interfering with the disruptive technology was ride sharing, the likes of Uber, Taxify, and stuff. So the local governments, institution trying to stop the ride sharing apps like Uber from operating their business in vain attempt to protect the taxi industry. So numerous local governments tried to ban the ride sharing apps from even running in their city. That is from not only Kenya, even in US, in London, I think it was very vibrant in I think in London. I think to some point even the government had to like enact some luxury laws. So and these actually they failed to do this because of what? It's very hard for you to control that something that is decentralized. So I actually took a screenshot from Business Daily. That was, I think it was around 2016. So you can see there, it says regular taxis want Uber banned within 7 days. And they were actually telling the government to help them. I think the links are there, which I can share this document later for you to see. So in essence, as what they thought, ride sharing was going to ruin the economy and destroy our cities, but it has not. Ride sharing basically has created a lot of opportunities in the new gig economy and provided a much needed service to consumers nationwide. So even now, you see Boda Boda or rather Uber Eats, you see people delivering or having their goods delivered by use of these Uber rides.
that's how this innovation has changed that industry. Well, all said and done, if a large enough, Latif, to mute everyone, just let me mute all. Okay. So, well, all said and done, if a large enough need exists, let me admit you people, if a large enough need exists in the market for consumers, regulations will not be able to crush the disruptive technology from expanding. Instead, it's only able at best to slow its inevitable growth down. So that is what that was in terms of Uber. Now let's move on to the last analogy I was using today. Sometimes it doesn't need even to be governments that try to struggle disruptive technology from changing the existing market. The cable and television industry had a stronghold on the production and distribution channels from popular media for decades. That's I think the what we've had for the longest time, TV and radio, and also newspapers. Then once streaming video became accessible for consumers on the internet, piracy started to happen. This is now where we talk about Netflix. A noteworthy example of a specific media company is Time Warner, missing out on $19 million of revenue on the hit series Game of Thrones, for those maybe who would like to watch videos, because they only would distribute it through HBO, through premium cable packages. So HBO was like the DSTV, it's like the DSTV of the US, whereby if anything is new, it's for them who does who basically do the distribution. Now, consumers online no longer saw the necessity to pay extra money for channels they never watch. So they pirated copies of the show instead. So Time Warner, that is the company, actually one of the biggest companies in terms of news and entertainment, worked to the government to try to catch everyone who pirated their content. So Time Warner this time tried to work with the government to try and control that particular move. After looking, and they failed, basically, they failed. That's why Netflix today is one of the valuable companies on entertainment. So after looking at the three above examples of how disruptive technologies were handled in the past, history shows us that government regulations and marketplace leaders can try to suppress the innovation from successfully entering the market. Hopefully, however, eventually the consumer demand is so high, it's no longer artificially held back from entering the market. The technology then expands exponentially despite the early attempts to squash the growth. So now let's look at keenly in specifically what we're talking about today. What does it mean today for cryptocurrency and the 5 different government regulatory groups? I think I tried to classify so somebody's saying what in the chat. You cannot, yes, that's too worry. So for me, I looked at these in 5, looking at in the Kenyan context. We have 5 different regulatory groups, so to say, 5. So right now, there's no consensus within many government agencies evaluating cryptocurrency. That is 1. Number 2 is that they don't even know how to define it, to define what it is, because nothing quite like it has existed in the market before. So let me break down the 5 key agencies that in Kenya that basically would be looking at these critically. So number 1 is the Central Bank of Kenya. So if you look at it in terms of a question, what is crypto? Is it fiat currency or money? That is from this perspective of the central government. So the mandate of the bank is to formulate and implement monetary policy that promotes price stability, fosters liquidity, solvency, and stability of the banking sector. That is the mandate of the central bank. And more so, issue currency notes and coins, and provide banking services to the government, commercial banks, and other financial institutions. That is what CBK is able to do.
So they have since issued public notices. I think these we know if we've been following our news and updates, public notices warning the public to stay away, even circulars expressly requesting banks to choke any further transfer activity related to cryptocurrencies. Meaning today, if you even put Bitcoin when you're doing a bank transfer to buy Bitcoin from a trader, that will be choked. It will be frustrated, and they may even close your account because of these particular notices. So then they're not basically coming out clearly, but they just want to frustrate it. So this, as per the National Bank Payment System, now this is when now the act comes in. There's an act called the National Payments Act, which actually guides all these like payment systems that is administered by the CBK. The NPS Act brings all payment services providers, including mobile phone services, to a single regulatory framework and provides CBK with direct oversight of these services and their products to ensure safety and efficiency of the platform. So that is where CBK mandate comes in. Secondly, we have the Capital Markets Authority, the CMA. So in this case, we ask ourselves, what is crypto? Is it a security? Is it a share? So the CMA, the Capital Market Act, again, is administered by the CMA. The CMA is a body responsible for public offers of securities, and the Capital Markets Act defines the term security and identifies some types of securities such as shares, debt instruments, rights, options relating to that securities, or even assets, property, all those as that. But the good thing, they tried better, and they had what you call a regulatory sandbox. That is what actually they came about. So quoting one of the circulars from CMA, they said blockchain firms will be considered so long as they are not dealing with cryptocurrencies, since the CMA's mandate does not extend to currency. You can see that I think it's two sides of a story. One is saying yes, the other is saying no. So this sandbox, it doesn't touch on currencies. They now focus on blockchain. So the CMA, if you read over there, the CMA regulatory sandbox can only serve financial innovations that are directly within the regulatory perimeter of the CMA, said that the former CMA chairman. So for them, they're not mandated to talk about currency. Currency is left to who? CBK, as you can see on the first authority. Now, the third group is who? This KRA, that is the Kenya Revenue Authority. So in this case, we are asking ourselves, is crypto a property or something that gains in value? So KRA is the central government agency mandated with collection of national taxes. The authority is also mandated with the implementation of all national taxes in Kenya. For that, KRA, of course, is paid a commission. So to date, the KRA has not yet issued any guidance. The assumption is that taxpayers who mine or trade Bitcoins in the country are subject to general taxation rules. That is what they introduced earlier. I think it's called they call it what the digital service. I think there's a new act whereby anything that is digital, if you are buying something on Facebook or eBay or on any local platform, you by form of a website, you're supposed to pay a digital service tax, which is I think they set out. So with Bitcoins, it's actually quite difficult because trading in Bitcoins involves transferring them from computer to computer through a system of cryptographic hashes, which is actually there's the aspect of anonymity, which is actually another hassle. Number three, we have the Kenya Information, that is the Communications Act, that is seized by now the Communication Authority of Kenya. That is another body that could try and fall into how these regulations is going to come about. So again, we ask ourselves, what is crypto? Is it a payment platform? Is it a technology? Is it a communications platform or what? So currently, the three communication companies which offer mobile payment services i.e. Safaricom, Airtel Telecom are licensed as payment service providers. Again, under the NPS Act, the NPS Act again is from who? The oversight is from CBK. So you can see how this is intertwined together. It's actually quite a maze. So I got actually this particular one for NPS Act. There's a law firm called Bowman's Law, which actually they have a good insight on this. So the fifth one, which is another main body, is the Parliament of Kenya. So through a bill which was drafted, which is a draft law introduced in Parliament for debate, the legislation will be adopted as a law or a set of laws after it's been discussed in the Parliament. So there's a whole lot of procedures that goes into a law being enacted. So now Parliament will now guide all the rest of the four bodies. You see how this is actually it's a conundrum. I think that's the word I use. So it will be quite interesting to see how this goes. So in summary, as I finalize now on this particular topic, ultimately it appears that regulatory bodies are not trying to hinder cryptocurrency innovation or adoption. They want to make sure investors are not being scammed. The government is getting tax revenue, and that is not being used to commute international crimes or fraud, because that's again what we hear, what people talk about cryptocurrencies. So again, the three historical examples I used earlier, the example of the Roman Empire, the one for the Uber and the Taxify, and the other one for Netflix, basically explode. It's a strong indication that disruptive technologies will not only survive but thrive despite early regulation bottlenecks. And in summary, the future development of many may heavily depend on regulations that will be introduced. This, of course, will offer confidence and validity, resulting in price stability as we go by, and adoption of cryptocurrencies as we go by. So that basically summarizes what I thought to share about today. So just know there are 5 key bodies that one ought to look at when or rather to expect in terms of regulations. So I don't know, from that topic, do you see it will take really ages for this to come through? But in the midst, people are like making the best out of it. And then this one, I think I'll go to the news just to see what is happening all across the world. And I think I'll start with, let me share that. Let me stop share, then I can share the exact screen for the news. So let me see, where is it? So I hope we are getting value out of this, despite the early challenge in starting the session. So let me share the screen for the news. If there's any question, if there's any comment, you can always keep it on the chat. I can see some comments. Valerie says you can hear me okay. What else? Yeah, you cannot stop something when the time has come. That's true. Thank you, Lewis, also. So let me share the screen for my news. And I'll be starting interesting again with the banks, because I've been talking about the banks today. So number one news is that Bank of Singapore says crypto could replace gold as a store of value. That is from Singapore. So again, banks, we just talked about the 5 key bodies that one ought to look out when they are thinking about regulations. So Bank of Singapore, a private banking arm of the OCBC Bank, has said cryptocurrencies have the potential to partially replace gold as a store of value. That is quite strong coming from Singapore. But before that can happen, though, cryptocurrencies must overcome hurdles including high volatility, I just talked about it, regulatory acceptance, and reputational risk, according to research note from the bank, that is by the news agency. First, investors need trustworthy institutions to be able to hold cryptocurrencies securely. Secondly, liquidity needs to improve. significantly to reduce volatility and to manage the levels, wrote the chief economist as per the bank. So this again, I think, ties to what I just talked about. We have the 5 key bodies that are keen in basically instilling confidence to the public, so that with time this currency or these assets becomes stable as time goes by. Secondly, the second news of the day is from, again, we can see Bank of France settles $2.4 million in Central Bank Digital Currency Pilot. So we will be talking about CBDCs in this particular session that we have. So you can see right there, Bank of France processed 2.4 million worth of fund units using a CBDC in December as part of ongoing experiments into blockchain and stablecoin technology. So the bank successfully piloted CBDCs that is in December. I think it was announced on 19th. The pilot commenced on December 17th and saw 2 million euros worth of simulated shares purchased and sold by investors using a CBDC. So the pilot took place with the DLT technology that is provided by CLT, a UK-based that is a blockchain service provider. I think that is you can actually check out the news later if you need to know the specifics. So this is actually how actual use cases are being used out there. Another news, central banks representing a fifth of the world population likely to issue CBDCs in 3 years. So many nations are moving to advanced stages of CBDC engagement, according to be. So Bank of International Settlements, that is BIS, is actually the controlling. I think, let me do it this way. When you're doing, let's say, an EFT or a SWIFT, it has to abide by the BIS standards. It's called the Bank of. So all central banks are connected to the platform run by these BIS, and I think it's actually in the US. So if you read over there, there's the CBDCs are entering the advanced stages of engagement as nations around the world look to capitalize on the blockchain technology, according to a new report by the Bank for International Settlements. In its survey, CBDC development, the BIS shows that central banks representing roughly a fifth of the world population are set to introduce a general purpose CBDC in the next 3 years. It's a 23-page document. If you want to have a look, just get in touch to either myself or Lawrence for that news. The other news, again, on the US, the new president, Joe Biden, freezes FinCEN proposal to propose crypto wallet regulations. So FinCEN is like the CMA of the US. So FinCEN had actually they had proposed. I think I'll just go ahead and read it. One of the first actions President Joe Biden has taken on his first day in the office is to freeze federal regulatory process, including the controversial self-hosted crypto wallet regulations proposed by the former Treasury Stephen Mnuchin. So these are some of the regulations that were going to affect cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in a negative way. So this was a good move by Biden just to freeze it, so that I think they can study more. So the announcement came in a White House memorandum for the heads of various federal agencies, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network included. The edict doesn't specify the crypto wallet proposal, but places a general office on all agency rulemaking pending review, effective for 60 days from the date of memorandum. So this is actually good because you cannot just put a blanket rule for everything. You have to be specific. As I said, we have 5 bodies that one ought to look at when if they at all want to give a clear regulatory procedures in terms of cryptocurrency. The other news comes, I think it was early this week. It was on, I think, good note for this guy who won a lottery. It's called, I think it doesn't have a name, but this guy called Jim Cramer tells the $731 million Powerball winner to put 5% in Bitcoin. So I think Jim is one of the guys who's hosting actually stock picking personality. Jim Cramer recommended to the unknown Maryland-based winner of $731 million Powerball jackpot to allocate 5% in in his or an infant born in fortune in Bitcoin. And I'll be happy to inform us that the last year's lottery winner actually put half of that amount into Bitcoin. Actually in 2019, half of that amount. And by today, I think he's actually up by 4 times if he never sold any of that Bitcoin. So that was actually good coming from in terms of winnings and gains. So another news, resetting digital currencies becomes part of Davos 2021 agenda. So Davos is I think I'll go right and read. So cryptocurrencies are among the top issues that will be discussed by the participants of the World Economic Forum that will meet in the virtual Davos this year. So Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey and Western Union CEO Hikmet Ersek will be part of the WEF panel convention entitled Resetting Digital Currencies. This is scheduled to take place on, actually it did take place already, and I think there were key positive notes that came from that particular discussion. And of course, CBDCs is of course taking again center stage. And I think recently we had, of course, Bitcoin moving from about $30,000 to about 33 now, because I think this was one of the fundamental points that made it rise in price. The other news, again, we look at India. So blockchain-aided voting trials begin in India. So blockchain technology could provide a security needed to expand national voting beyond provincial borders. We've talked about voting, blockchain being used for voting, I think in this, Bitcoin 101, and you are seeing now an actual use case that is being tried out there practically. It's not about theory anymore. So trials of blockchain-aided voting in Canada that will enable voters to post ballot from outside their home. Provincial are soon to begin. India is a big country, and for them to consider even using blockchain, I think it's a huge validation of this particular innovation. The other one is Reserve Bank of India is exploring the possibility of a digital currency. So again, India is coming again with some more news. This time now, the bank itself now is like, okay, I think it's time we look at these CBDCs that people have been talking about. China are very much ahead. They have even tested their wallets, the state wallets of using crypto. Sorry, not crypto, but digital currencies, because crypto, there's some key aspects that makes crypto a cryptocurrency and a digital currency digital. I think Lawrence actually talked about it in our sessions before, whereby you have a permission blockchain and permission as a blockchain. So less than a year after the Indian Supreme Court overturned the Reserve Bank of India bans on cryptocurrencies, crypto business, the bank's position on digital currency is looking slightly more bullish. So India is one of the countries that had earlier banned Bitcoin, or rather cryptocurrencies. Now they are like now taking a more adoptive look in terms of using, because you cannot talk about blockchain, open blockchain for that matter, without talking about Bitcoin, because that is those two actually more or less go hand in hand. The other one, as we almost come to the end of the news, Bitcoin made up 97% of total crypto inflows in 2021. So we've had like, so Bitcoin trading volumes surged significantly this year, jumping from a value of 2 billion in 2020 to about 12 billion. Meaning, this is where now you talk about new money coming into Bitcoin. People are acquiring this asset. That's why you saw a rise of price from about, from $18,000 actually to from about $9,000. That is about, I think I'm 900,000 in Kenya shillings to about now you're having it at a high of about 30. It went to a high of 42, and this is what makes that to happen. So BTC, the world's largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, remains the most preferred digital currency for investors according to a new report. So Bitcoin inflows, according to 97% of basically inflows, meaning people were buying Bitcoin and not other currencies. People are buying more of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin comprises of 83% of digital asset investments under management, while BTC, I think that's going much into detail, but just know that Bitcoin made up 97% of all the the money inflows into Bitcoin in 2021. This is like the first month of 2021. The other news we know about Elon Musk. Elon Musk basically is one of the guys who is behind the electrical car and also the SpaceX, the guys take guys to the moon. So Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has changed his Twitter bio to mention Bitcoin only. So this move is the same as Twitter CEO's Jack Dorsey, who has long been a Bitcoin supporter. So you can see that is his Twitter profile, and he just put Bitcoin sign. And actually, if you look at his tweet, I think this is what he is citing. Soon after changing his bio, Musk tweeted in retrospect, it was inevitable, possibly meaning that Bitcoin mentioned was sure to happen. Amidst all the inflation, all the government control, all that, I think this is why he's saying here. And just by doing that, the price went up by 30 minutes since his tweet, trading at around now $36,500 from where it was before. So lastly, I think as we sum up, we've talked about how governments are, in terms of regulations, we've looked at the news. So if you compare now, because I think, let me just read that again. So remember last year, I think for most of us who've been tuning into this particular Bitcoin 101, there was $1,200 given to the US citizens as it was called a stimulus check to support them during the COVID time. So basically, this money was it was a cushion from the government. It was like a lunch money. You're just giving money to cushion you for the hard economic times. And remember, this money from nowhere. So some people thought to invest this money into gold, into stocks, and also some maybe just spent it. But for those, let's now compare in terms of since they were given the money, how that money has basically performed. And this, when I will talk about this being like it's not your traditional form of investing. Of course, you need to do your own research, but in terms of gains, because that is one thing as an investor you should be looking at. What gain have I gained from investing into X investment or into B investment? So looking at, if somebody bought Ethereum, that person is basically up by 150% as of today. So he's basically done double plus some few dollars above. If somebody bought Bitcoin, they're up by 72%. If somebody bought gold, they're up by 22%. If somebody bought the stocks, that is S&Ps, they're up by 20%. So that shows you that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency basically gives you a very a huge potential upside. And I think last Saturday we talked about asymmetrical gain in value in terms of what you as an investor would be looking to gain from an investment. For you want to get the best asymmetrical rise in value, and this is where now Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies offers a good opportunity. But of course, you need to get education, you need to get information so that at least you don't lose your money. So with that, I think that basically will summarize my point of topic today. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Anything that maybe you need to be clarified as I take a break, because it's about 10:53. I thought to have it short. If there's anything you want me to go over again or to maybe reshare next time, I'll be glad to do so. So today we were sharing about regulations and whether it's good or bad, and also a bit of news. So let me see. So from the stimulus checks, Ethereum coin, no. Now, this now, I said clearly, it's all about timing. It's all about timing. That's one thing. So when you see somebody has already gained 200%, meaning he bought it way back. And this is one mindset that people need to get. You get into an investment when there is no, when everything is quiet. When everybody is now talking about let's invest into XYZ, that is when now those who invested back then are selling. So there's the best time to get into a coin. There's the best time to get into an investment. There's the best time to exit an investment, which is where we come in. You're supposed to get some understanding. That's why Decrypt, we are here to guide you. So for now, it's not possibly, of course, for the long term, if you're looking at 5 years to come, you can buy Ethereum today. But if you're looking to make some gains in the next maybe 1 or 2 years, you maybe have to wait a little bit because you may see a price correction in Ethereum coin before it again starts. Remember, it's a cycle. If you've been following our charts, all these, it's a market cycle. There's an upward cycle where the price go up, then there's a downward cycle. So most people buy at the top. But again, you need a lot of information and also understanding to see how these, to know when to buy or when to sell. So Mama Q, I think that hope I've answered you. Yeah, so any other burning question or concern that I should maybe address before we come to a close? So let me again, if you want the link for that document that I was sharing today, you can, in fact, I'll share it. In fact, let me post our Telegram channel, so I think you can maybe join in if you want to get these updates, and also these documents that we take time to research and also put together, so at least we can have a summary of the week's happenings in terms of cryptocurrency. So Emily Njoroge asked if I transfer Bitcoin funds to Kenya Bank allowed. Is it? No. Okay, Emily, you cannot transfer Bitcoins to bank because bank doesn't. They don't accept Bitcoins. They are mandated to accept currencies. That is Kenya shillings, the pounds, the euros, Uganda shillings. So for you to transfer Bitcoin, you need a bank. You need a Bitcoin wallet. So let me get in touch with me so that I can take you through on how Bitcoin operates. You can only transfer funds within the Kenyan banking system. But if you are buying Bitcoin and you say that you are, there's this, it's called what? The new regulations with the CBK demands all tellers or all banks to ask you, I mean, what is the use of the funds? If you are transacting more than $1 million, that is more than more than $1 million, you have to explain where the funds are coming from and why you're sending the money to. So if you say you are sending the money to buy Bitcoin, trust me that it won't go. It will be flagged. You'll be asked to go to the bank to do ABCD. But the same, if you just say you are buying goods or it's for a service, it will go through. So you have to be very keen on how you are dealing with Bitcoin at the moment, because there's no clear way of transacting. So again, Emily, just remember to get in touch with me so that I can take you through on how to go about that. So you can transfer Bitcoin from a wallet to a wallet, and a wallet, you just need a phone. That's all you need, and with that, you're able to freely transact. So any other question? We're also learning as we asking questions, because most people also get to understand something different. Okay, Valerie, I'll be sharing the link to the document on the Telegram channel. So let me just share the channel, the Telegram channel here, so at least we can join. And then I'll be sharing any, and in case you want any content, always reach out to myself or Lawrence. Unfortunately, he's not there today. He had a family event to attend. That's why he was not able to make it. But at least I've tried my best to do my part, though despite the early technical challenge. But I think we are good to go. So let me share the link for Telegram channel. you can join it. Then I'll share the link to the document over there, so that for your future review, and also so that's the channel. Okay, let me just to everyone. Yeah, so that's the link. So you can just join in the Telegram channel. Then we can take it up from there. So with that, it's 11 a.m. exactly. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Valerie, Esther, Lewis, Emily Joroge, Emily Rotich, for being there. And then for anybody who wishes to learn more, I'm always there. Lawrence is there, and actually I'll be in Kampala tomorrow, today, tomorrow, until Thursday for crypto education. So feel free to reach out to me if you know anyone who wishes to learn the basics of cryptocurrencies, and also how to be part of it, to enjoy the gains. So thank you very much, and I wish you a great day ahead. Thank you, and bye-bye.